Reports of more anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. I know what you're thinking. The HRC, Starmer didn't implement it properly. Or even worse, the HRC itself, the recommendations, they weren't up to snuff. If you can't believe in the HRC, what can you believe in? No, don't worry, that's not what's going on. Okay, it's completely different. You see, what you had before was you had a crisis in the Labour Party, systemic problem with anti-Semitism. What you've got now is lots and lots of isolated cases that have nothing to do with each other. You see, we'll get into it, you'll see.
For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
Health Minister Andrew Gwynne sacked over messages. Health Minister Andrew Gwynne has been sacked after a newspaper revealed he sent a string of offensive and abusive WhatsApp messages. The MP for Gorton and Denton, don't know where that is, but cool name, Gorton and Denton, was also suspended from the Labour Party after the Mail on Sunday reported the messages, which insulted constituents, fellow MPs and councillors. A government spokesman said Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was determined to uphold high standards of those in public office and will not hesitate to take action against any minister who fails to meet these standards. How come Starmer himself didn't say anything? Was he drunk? Was he drunk again? In messages seen by the Mail on Sunday, Gwynne said he hoped a 72-year-old woman would soon be dead after she wrote to her local councillor about bin collection. He may not be speaking for that constituent, but he's speaking for his constituents in general. The newspaper said he also joked about a constituent being mown down by a truck. Gwynne also reportedly posted sexist comments about Angela Rayner and racist remarks about Labour MP Diane Abbott. Oh, come on. Who hasn't made a racist remark about Diane Abbott? It's like a rites of passage in the Labour Party. And he reportedly responded to a message containing the name of an American psychologist, Marshall Rosenberg, saying he sounded too militaristic and too Jewish, adding, "Is he in Mossad?" Okay, so jokes aside, now it's got serious. Now we're talking about anti-Semitism. Whatever. The newspaper reported further comments it said appeared to make light of anti-Semitism. Ooh, isolated case. It's just an isolated case, all right? And it's been dealt with. So nothing to see here. Conservative Shadow Cabinet Office Minister Alex Burghardt told Sky News that he questioned whether any other members of the WhatsApp group called out Gwynne's remarks at the time. This was a big WhatsApp group with a lot of other Labour members. Did any of them step in at the time? Did any of them call that out? He said. And he said the message about someone's name sounding too Jewish was sinister. And that really does suggest that just beneath the surface, between all the sort of window dressing that Keir Starmer has done that with senior Labour politicians, that doesn't make any sense. Between all the sort of the window dressing that Keir Starmer has done that with senior Labour, okay, whatever, there may still be a very serious problem with anti-Semitism, and I hope that the Prime Minister will get to grips with that immediately, Burghardt said. Well, I don't know. To be fair, I think anti-Semitism is too serious. I think Starmer's already failed. He hasn't got to grips with it. He's got to go. He's got to do more. At least he's got to apologise and do more, and apologise again and do more, and then ultimately he should get fired anyway. Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook said, "I don't think anyone can be in any doubt about the Prime Minister or this government's commitment to upholding the highest standards in public office and to rooting out anti-Semitism from the Labour Party root and branch." Root and branch. Rooting it out by the roots and rooting it out by the branch. Sounds to me like he's denying. Like he doesn't understand. He doesn't really understand the seriousness of the problem. Like it's not. They haven't done enough, and he thinks they've done enough, and that's I can't even be bothered. Can't even be bothered with this fucking bullshit line of inquiry. Okay, so what's the difference? So this is, I mean, it's bullshit, isn't it? Who gives a shit? Someone's too Jewish. You said something in a WhatsApp group. It's all a load of nonsense. But let's be consistent here. If this was under Corbyn's leadership, all hell would break loose, right? Because in the same WhatsApp group, there was another Labour MP, Oliver Ryan, who's also been suspended for making anti-Semitic remarks. But of course, this isn't a crisis of anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. These are two separate incidents. Well, I mean, in this case, they are directly linked. But it's like a cluster of incidents that are isolated. This is like an isolated cluster, and There are other isolated clusters as well, but none of them are linked together because there isn't an anti-Semitism crisis. You see, it's like chicken and egg. It's like we've got lots of problems with anti-Semitism, but there isn't an anti-Semitism crisis, so you can't link them together. Under Corbyn's leadership, there was an anti-Semitism crisis, so when you have problems of anti-Semitism, you can link them to that. That's the difference. Hope that's clear. You want more evidence? Okay. In February 2024, Sir Keir Starmer urged to suspend Labour members who attended meeting at Centre of Anti-Semitism row. Mike Katz, the national chair of the Jewish Labour movement, which is formerly affiliated to the Labour Party, criticised those who were present at a community meeting that has recently come under the spotlight, but failed to call out comments about Israel. Comments about Israel? But what's that got to do with anti-Semitism? Unless you link Israel immediately to Jewish people, which is itself anti-Semitic, but who cares? At the meeting, which is understood to have taken place in Hydeburn last year, Labour's original candidate for the Rochdale by-election claimed Israel deliberately allowed the Hamas atrocity of the 7th of October to take place in order to give the green light to invade Gaza. The problem is, you say, like, Israel wanted it to happen. I mean, you know, sometimes you just don't have time to say exactly what parts of the Israeli state were specifically wanting this to happen or allowing it to happen. But, you know, it's equally, if you say Israel and people immediately think you're talking about a Jewish conspiracy, I mean, that's on them, isn't it? That's anyway, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm now on the side of I want there to be an anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party now. So I'm not going to take that line. I'm going to flip over and say, yes, that this is the problem. This is terrible anti-Semitism and Starmer needs to go. Yesterday it emerged that another one of the party's election candidates, the former Labour MP Graham Jones, had also been present at the meeting where he allegedly referred to fucking Israel and said UK citizens who volunteered to fight for the Israeli Defence Force should be locked up. Asked about the failure of other present to raise concerns about comments made at the meeting, Mr. Katz told Sky News' Political Hub there was a real problem that nobody called it out. A real problem in the Labour. Obviously, there were people in leadership positions not calling it out, he said. Asked whether he believed everyone at the meeting who was a Labour member should be suspended from the party, Mr. Katz replied, well, they're identifiable. They all ought to be suspended pending investigation. So there you have it. You have some fuckface from Jewish Labour movement saying that there should be mass suspensions of everyone involved in this meeting. This was February last year, and it didn't happen. Is that because Starmer's not taking the issue? It's so boring. Of course, this argument wouldn't be complete without Starmer's absolutely classic sausages line.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the sausages.
Which obviously is just because he really likes sausages for some reason. I don't know. He's always got sausages on his mind. And that's too bad. You know, even at the darkest, most serious times, when he's supposed to be talking about Israeli hostages being released, he's still just thinking about his dinner. And, you know, that's not anti-Semitic. It's pretty fucked up, but it's not anti-Semitic, is it? I mean, the only argument I could think of is that he's actually secretly resentful against Jewish people because they've stopped him eating sausages, which might be the case, as there was this article that mentioned that there's rumours that the Starmer household is kosher because his wife is Jewish, and obviously sausages generally aren't kosher. So maybe Starmer is actually anti-Semitic. He's resentful against his own wife and the kosher household that he lives in because he loves sausages so much. And so whenever Israel is mentioned, because he always links Israel with the Jewish people, which is again anti-Semitic, he's always thinking about damn those Israelis and damn those Jews for denying me my sausages. I mean, it's possible, right? We can't rule it out. But I think overall, you know, if you're going to be fair to Starmer, I think you'd have to say that it's most likely just a slip of the tongue. However, could you imagine if Jeremy Corbyn had called Israeli hostages sausages? Could you fucking imagine how insane that would be, right? And the reason is because it would be linked to all of the other anti-Semitism things that were happening in the Labour Party, because everything was put under this umbrella of there being an anti-Semitic crisis. Whereas now, there isn't an anti-Semitism crisis in the Labour Party, is there? So, when you have incidents of anti-Semitism, they're not linked together. That's how it works. You make the narrative, and then you get everything to fit it when you when you're done.